And the answers would determine whether they went to the afterlife or not, whether they went on. And those two questions were, did you bring joy? And did you find joy? Did you bring joy? So I'm going to ask you that, to think about that through this hour that we're together. Did you bring joy? Have you brought joy? And have you found joy in your life? You know, last week we kind of talked about love, and we talked about being able to bring love. Think about joy, and then think if you received it yourself. Because I think sometimes that you have to have it right here before you can give it out. Before you can give it out. Because I think many of us are kind of pacing like that Molini, the white tiger, back and forth, and we're stuck into our old patterns. And we forget that there is joy out there. We forget that joy is in here. We forget that. Friedrich Nietzsche says, he's a wisdom teacher, a German philosopher in the 1900s, and he says, as long as there have been human beings, they have felt too little joy. And this, my brothers and sisters, is our original sin. I believe that. I think each one of us is capable of exuding this power of joy, because it's within each and every one of us. It's the divine God in us. It's the divine God in us. And in this lifetime, it's our job to recover that. That's our mission. That's our commission, is to uncover it and to be it in the world. To be the light in the world. And within that light is the power of joy. And I don't mean like a Pollyanna happiness, that everything's okay all the time. I'm talking about a deep, abiding joy that stays with us. That stays with us all the time. It's Eckhart Tolle calls it, and I like his description of joy, and he says it's a peaceful sense of aliveness. See, there's an aliveness in every one of us, and it stays with us all of the time, even though things on the surface appear devastating, appear sad when we grieve. There still is this power that is an aliveness within us, that life's okay, that life's okay. It's this peaceful sense. And when we go within this spiral, the center, we feel it. Because it's a remembrance of our own divinity. It's a remembrance of our divine. And when we're there, we start to see the world in a little different place. And the more that we go there, see, the more that we are there and we live in this place, the more that we can look at the events that happen in the world and not let them paralyze us. I don't know about many of you, but I felt paralyzed. My kids were devastated by the events that happened. I had to turn off the news. I couldn't stand it any longer. And I went inside and I found my joy inside. And that's what the call is. And by joy, I don't mean that I'm jumping with joy and feeling all this. What I mean is there's a deep sense of peace, that it's okay, that we don't understand these things. We don't get it, really. We don't understand why something like this would happen. But what we do know is that there is a power within all of us, a courage and a trust that can handle it. And when we can't do it, we know that the divine in us can. So this joy that is within us, this alive calmness, is an energy with intelligence, with beauty, with love, with every quality of God in us. That's what it is. It becomes what happens when all of the thoughts are gone. It's what happens when I can look right at you, Bob, and not think, this is Bob, he's got a red shirt. This is just what I see you without any labeling. That's joy, when everything else is dropped. When I can let the thoughts go, when I can let the judgments go, the preconceived ideas, and only see. It's soft eyes. It's what the Buddhists call the soft eyes. And what some people say that consciousness is looking at itself. And that's what creates joy. It's when the lions came running out and then they hugged him. And they hadn't seen him for 2 years. That touched me because I could just imagine what that would feel like. You haven't seen him for 2 years and you wonder, where are they? Are they okay? And here they come and you're loving them. And there's no thought there. What there is just this pure energy, pure awareness. And that's what we're talking about, is this pure awareness of joy that's in each and every one of us. And the more that we go to the center of the spiral is way inside. The more we go there, the more we spend time in the quiet, the more love, the more intelligence, the more peace that is there. And that's what we bring out to the world. And that's what we shine out to the world. But what is it? And I got to thinking, there's a lot of things that rob us from feeling that joy. And, you know, bottom line, it's our ego. It boils down to ego. It's about thoughts of despair. It's about our head. It's about who we think we are. Instead of identifying with that, the joy that we are and the peace and the love, we jump into the ego and we feel like victims. This is happening to me. This is happening to me. It's about complaining. So I thought of 3 things, and actually the 3 I thought of were complaining, resentment, and drama. Those are the things I think that rob us the most from joy, that rob me from joy. So complaining, you know, complaining, compulsive habit. Even though we try, remember when everybody here was wearing the bracelet for a long time, trying to not complain? After the bracelets were off, did you go back to complaining? It's like we see the fault. We see the fault in each other. We see the fault in ourselves. And I love what Jesus, there's something that he says, why do you see the speck that's in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that's in your own? The log, how many logs do you have in your eyes and you're seeing everything else in someone else? See, and the truth is that we criticize and we condemn other people because we want to strengthen our own ego because we think that's who we are. If we were in our joy, we wouldn't be doing that, but the minute we step into ego, we criticize, we blame, we complain. And if you don't do it out loud, we do it in thought. Oh, why does this have to happen? Oh, why does this guy do this? You know, keep everything under our breath. We think things. We think everything. And what Eckhart Tolle says is that sometimes that egos don't have nothing else to identify with. So what they do is they survive on complaining alone. Your ego survives on complaining alone. We apply mental labels to other people's, to their faces, and we commonly speak about them to each other. The next one that robs me of my joy is resentment. Think of resentment in your life, big robber of joy. Resentment means to feel bitter, to feel indignant, to feel offended, not good enough. You resent other people's greed. This cracks me up. Other people's greed, their dishonesty, their lack of integrity, what they are doing, what they're not doing, what they did in the past, what they said, what they failed to do, what they should do, and what they shouldn't have done. Okay? So pick one of those. Pick one of those. Think of somebody in your life. See, that's a resentment, and that's what robs us, because the ego loves it. And instead of overlooking the unconsciousness in another, we make it their identity. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? That becomes your identity. Instead of me seeing this beautiful, beautiful Yolanda, I see the ego. And I say, why you did this? You didn't do anything. I'm just using you for an example. You're perfect. You're perfect, whole, and complete. I'm just telling you that that's what we do when we get into the head, instead of dropping and living from the joy that we are. It's fear. See, it's fear that keeps us and robs us from this incredible power of joy that lives within us. Who calls it ego grandiosity? I like that because that's what it is. It's a buildup of our ego. And it's what destroys our joy. It's what robs us of our joy. Nelson Mandela said that, you know, we just need to gamble on goodness. We need to gamble on the goodness of other people. You know, quit complaining about them and figure out that everybody's got that goodness in them. And gamble that you'll see it. He says that you tend to attract integrity and honor if that's how you regard the people with whom you are with. How do you see the others? You see them in integrity, in love. And he says, I love Nelson Mandela. I was reading some things on him. And when he was in prison, there's a kind of a story. And he finds this little area. It's a rocky spot, and he makes a garden there. And he doesn't have any tools. They won't give him any tools, but he digs it. with his own hands, and somehow he gets a garden going, a little small garden, and then he feeds other people with it. And then here's what he said about it. He fed the inmates, and then he said, you have to find your own garden. You have to cultivate that part of you. That part of you that is your own garden. I put that up there because I thought, we each have that sacred garden within us. We really do. And that's our joy. You know, that's our sacred garden. It's a spiral within each and every one of us. And inside the spiral is the peace of joy and love. Peace, love, joy. What's the other one? Hope. They're all in the middle of the spiral. And coming out of the spiral is us spreading it, is us being there. It's cultivating that part. Cultivating it now so that when there's events like this that happen, you are out there and you are shining a light and you are being a light unto others. You are being a light unto other people. You know, but it's which part? You know, which part do we feed? The fear, the ego, or do we feed the joy part? Where are your thoughts? You know, where is the power? Where are you placing it? So I'm going to close by reading a story that I love, and it's about a little boy who is angry because some kids came and they took, he was playing with something and they took it away from him. So he goes to his grandfather and he says, the grandfather says to him, you know, I too at times have felt a great hate for those that have taken so much with no sorrow for what they do. But hate wears you down and does not hurt your enemy. It is like taking poison and wishing that your enemy would die. I have struggled with these feelings many times, my grandson. It is if there are two wolves inside of me. One is white and one is black. The white wolf is good and does no harm. He lives in harmony with all around him and does not take offense when no offense was intended. He will only fight when it is right to do so and in the right way. But the black wolf is full of anger. The littlest thing will set him into a fit of temper. He fights everyone all the time for no reason. He cannot think because his anger and his hate are so great. It is helpless anger, for his anger will change nothing. Sometimes it's hard to live with these two wolves inside of me, for both of them seek to dominate my spirit. The boy looked intently into his grandfather's eyes and he asked, which one wins, grandfather? And the grandfather smiles and he said, the one that I feed. The one that I feed. So I ask you, what are you feeding? Are you feeding the power of joy inside of you? The power of love and hope and peace? Or are you feeding the ego structures in our life? My prayer today for each and every one of us is that we can tap into that power this Christmas season and always to that power of joy and take it and send it out into the world today in all these.